I'm here with Daniel from Bramble, and I appreciate you joining me today on the Assets and Algorithms podcast. We are here to talk about Bramble and some of the things that you guys are doing in the prop tech and how technology is changing real estate. So first, I want to congratulate you on participating in the Y Combinator Accelerator program and some of the revolutionary things you're doing in the space. And also, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. Happy to be here and kind of excited to talk about what we do at Bramble and how we fit into the bigger picture of the real estate industry today.
Can you share a little bit about your role and how it fits into the bigger picture at Bramble and what you guys are doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a co-founder at Bramble. I work on product development. So I have a technical background. I was previously a software engineer in a couple of previous roles, and I'm also a real estate agent. And I kind of head up our brokerage operations. So kind of everything that we do related to working with customers. Bramble is a technology company, but we're also a real estate brokerage in the way that Redfin or Compass or Remax are real estate brokerages as well. And so that means that we work with home buyers directly. We're currently buyer exclusive in that we only represent buyers. In the future, we may represent sellers, but really we're focused on helping buyers purchase homes. And so I work with our clients directly. And if you come into Bramble and, request tours, use any of our tools, I might be the one interacting with you directly to help you for homes or draft offers as well.
Okay, that's really interesting. It's a really great spin on having a brokerage and adding that technology piece to it. I think that's really great. So with that in mind, what does a typical day look like for you interacting with customers and running the company?
Yeah, it tends to be pretty varied. So I kind of balance the product development side of things and the customer side of things. So I would say try to spend as much time as I can on product development when I don't have customer demands pulling my attention away. And so that side of things looks sort of like a typical technology software company doing, we're coding, we are launching new products on website, or new features rather. We're, doing all the things that you might see like a software engineer can do. And then on the customer side of things, kind of acting as a real estate agent and also doing some customer service on the product as well. So if we have customers using the product and they have requests like anything from, hey, this button isn't working to like, hey, I want to schedule a tour, I'll work on that. And then I'll work on agent activities as well, which might be, sometimes we literally will drive out and do tours for folks, especially if they're in the area. We're based in San Francisco. And it might be, doing a final walkthrough if someone's closing a home or just getting on the phone with the customer and answering questions about, a home that they like or an offer that they want to make.
Nice. I definitely understand the real estate agent business and working with customers to make sure that deals get closed. But again, I think you guys are taking a really unique spin on that. Let me ask, what major shifts are you seeing in the industry right now? And what made you guys approach it the way that you are?
Yeah, so we're a pretty young company. We started in, I would say, May of last year. So probably about a year old now. And the impetus really was in January of last year. There was kind of the initial announcement that the U.S. government was settling with the National Association of Realtors. And essentially, or sorry, not the U.S. government, but it was actually initiated by a whole bunch of different parties, some of whom were private as well. But that suit ended up making it so that a couple of changes occurred in the market. And the biggest two that we look at, one was that sellers were no longer sort of soft required to pay buyer commissions. They previously had done that because on multiple listing services, which is where all of the listings for properties really across the US were listed. Previously, all sellers would advertise how much commission they were paying to the buyer's agents. And so one of the major changes is that they weren't allowed to do that anymore. What we took that to mean is that made the commission a lot more negotiable for buyers. Basically, buyer agents could go to a buyer and say, hey, seller's going to pay, 2.5% guaranteed for this property if you buy it. Now that's more up in the air. And so we've been seeing a lot more negotiation over the last year on the exact percentage. And so more people are doing flat fee services, for example, $5,000, $10,000 to represent. more people are just negotiating the percentage as well. So we see people negotiating from, in our area, it's 2.5% standard. We'll see 1.5, 2, etc. So we see a lot more of that. And then the other big shift is that buyers are required to sign a representation agreement with their agent before you can tour a property now. That's always been the case in a few states, but previously in most of the country, you wouldn't have to sign anything as a home buyer before you toured a property. And that's totally changed out. You cannot legally, as an agent, help a buyer tour a property without them having some sort of contract signing with you now. And so that's a huge shift, and that's led to a bunch of behavior changes that we're seeing as well.
Absolutely. I think that case you mentioned, it did send waves through the industry, the real estate industry, and changed the way that agents are interacting with customers on multiple levels. And seeing that you guys were agile enough and conscious enough to realize some of those changes and be able to go to market with a strategy to take advantage of those is really awesome. I think that's I want to commend you for that.
Appreciate that.
So another one, I would say what I'm seeing a lot is that with the use of social media, a lot of agents and real estate professionals in general are using a ton of video to attract clients. I know that, pictures have always been a great go-to. Like you mentioned on MLS, you'll see a ton of pictures with their listings, but video is really starting to dominate real estate marketing, and with more buyers expecting high quality, immersive listings. Can you talk a little bit about how Bramble is positioning itself to stay ahead of that shift?
Yeah, definitely. So for our software product, try to be, we call it sort of visual first, and that is inclusive of, images and videos. Videos, as you mentioned, are really becoming more popular for listings throughout the US. Currently, I believe the last time I checked, the number was around 2% of listings will actually have video today. But if you go to areas where, property value might be a little bit higher and people are investing more in the marketing budget, as a result, you're going to see a lot more videos for properties, and the engagement numbers for video are off the chart. Listing that has a video is going to receive 3 to 5 times more views and longer dwell time, longer view time on that listing than one without. And we lean into video a lot. What we actually have done is most listings will have images, pretty much all of them, if it's like at least a reasonably competent listing. One of the things we did is actually generate sort of panning walkthrough videos from those images with kind of the latest cutting edge video generation technology. So if you have a photo of a living room, we'll go ahead and just sort of create a generated pan through that living room with the various photos of that living room that you might have on the listing already. So the idea is just to make it a little more engaging and a little more fun to browse the listing.
Yeah, I think, like you said, very much so making it more engaging and more fun. It gives a better experience to the buyer and allows them to visualize themselves being there without having to step into the listing, step into the property. So it sounds like you said, you're using cutting edge technology to create these renderings. I think another trend that we're seeing is AI shaping the way that buyers search for homes. And I'm seeing platforms integrate smarter recommendations and some AI help. Can you talk a little bit about how Bramble is leveraging AI to improve the search experience?
Yeah, definitely. We've been AI first from day one. And one of the things that we've done is play with how people actually search for homes. And we've tried everything from just completely blank slate natural language search, like you're kind of talking to ChatGPT or your friend and just typing in something like, show me homes with great lighting, big windows, remodeled kitchen, and on with them, something like that, and serving that kind of query. And then we've also done kind of the more traditional sort of lookup of you just paste an address or even a Redfin link, something along those lines, and then we'll show you the corresponding listing. We found user behavior has been sort of varied among those, and that's something that we continue to play with. Some people really like the really open-ended search because they have a really specific and clear idea of what type of property they're looking for. If you talk to someone that's a little later in the buy process, that might be more the case where they've narrowed down a really specific buy box for the exact kind of home they're looking for. If you talk to someone who's not really looking or just kind of browsing for fun, they might not have that. And so like one of the issues that they might run into is they show up, there's a blank box, and they're like, I have no idea what I'm going to type into this box or what type of properties to see. And one of the things that we saw, for example, is like people would show up and basically type in like Austin, Texas into the box that's meant to, do this sort of blank AI search. And then you would just come up with like totally random results, right? So definitely something we play with a lot, and something that we believe will evolve how people find houses in the future. One of the biggest customer complaints that sort of led to us diving a lot deeper into this is that there wasn't a way to find really specific things that people cared about. Like, are there trees in the yard, or is there, a spacious backyard that my kids can run around in? Those aren't things that you can search for on Zillow.
Yeah, I think that's true, right? Tons of people do keep that in mind. Things like trees in the yard, things like, is there a large backyard? Also, are there trees on the block? Is it a tree line block? In certain, I know in New York, because I'm from New York, people like to know, is there street parking, right? Little things like that, it can help someone make a decision. And, using technology to create those search experiences is definitely where I see the industry going. So it's great to see that you guys are on top of that.
Yeah, it really is, like you say, hyper specific what people look for per area. And so one of the examples that come to mind is in San Mateo, there are certain blocks where people kind of park on the sidewalks because there's like no actual curb. It kind of like the street flows into the sidewalks. And, we had a customer we work with that like hated that. Right. And that was just like the moment a house was on that block, that type of block, it was off the list. And that was not something that, this person could go on Zillow and filter for.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm great that I'm happy to hear that you guys are serving that customer base, because it makes life easier, not only for the buyer, but also for the agents as well. It allows them to be able to tailor that search and get really specific for their customers and make that buying process easier. So I love that, you guys are developing technology and it's benefiting your brokerage business as well. Can you talk to me a little bit about growth for the company and how you guys have been able to leverage technology to impact your growth strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that are really how we approach this starting out is I have two co-founders, and all of us started out in technology companies like LinkedIn or LiveRamp, and kind of came toward growth with a consumer technology playbook. And those are things like, optimizing your ad targeting on Google or Meta, and playing with like what your customer personas are in terms of like online advertising. And then also things that are sort of like more pure growthy, like search engine optimization, and figuring out how, search engines are indexing our pages so that we could rank higher, maybe show up on ChatGPT more, that type of thing. And so we've seen some of that work pretty well. That's kind of how companies like Zillow and Redfin sort of came up during the early days of the search engine wars. And that's kind of been one side of things. And then on the other side, we've also worked with a sort of more traditional growth methods in the real estate industries. Something like 60 to 70% of deals done in real estate with an agent, a client has come based on a referral. So referrals are kind of the bread and butter of how the industry works today, even though you've got search engines like Zillow. And so we've also, leaned into figuring out how we can build a referral network, basically a base of satisfied customers that can go and talk about Bramble, hopefully to their friends and family. And then also looked at even things like traditional real estate publications. There's one in our area, for example, called Haven, but basically things that real estate agents might read, and also, investors, engaged home buyers, that type of thing. So we've kind of tried both, and we probably will do both into the foreseeable future. We think SEO is really a huge growth lever, and social as well. And we'll, of course, continue to build up that referral base into the foreseeable future.
Absolutely. Real estate is a people business, and I don't think that'll change. So having that referral base and having that word of mouth base of customers that are consistently coming in is always helpful. But definitely the SEO in the social media marketing is huge as well. You mentioned something that really struck me. You said that, you guys are optimizing to show up a little bit more on ChatGPT and other LLMs. And I think that's something that hasn't been touched on a ton, but it will really impact businesses across all industries as well as real estate. So that's
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the secret sauce. I think everyone's kind of banging on that door trying to figure out how to get that to work. It's really early, we have our theories. I can share them. It's not like I don't think they're proprietary unless they prove to work really well. But for example, one of the things that we do is, since we're pretty familiar from our technology backgrounds of how traditional search engines like Google work, they work off of a specific format that involves, sort of the code structure of your web pages and how those appear to the search engine. Now, a model like ChatGPT or really GPT, which is the underlying model, those models, the way they're trained is they read a bunch of text on the internet and they read it closer-ish to the way that a human would actually read text. And so if they're reading the raw code of a web page, which is called HTML, that might not be a very, very good way to train the model to understand your business, essentially. And one of the thoughts we had is there's a language called Markdown, which is really very close to just plain text English. It's kind of like a Microsoft Word type format. And we played with converting our web pages into a Markdown format and then also having those available online so that the large language models like GPT can actually go and train on those in addition to our actual web pages. And so the hope is that we can create kind of in the AI's mind a stronger association for Bramble than the raw web pages would do.
wow, that's actually really, really creative and brilliant. I think that making that type of shift and that type of adjustment in order to fit with how that model operates could definitely help you guys. I'm excited to see how that impacts your growth moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, if it works out, we'll let you know because that'll be huge. I think no one's quite cracked that nut yet.
It's like it sounds like a good way to approach it. I'll say that for sure. Okay, so tell me, that's something that you guys are trying out. Let's talk about what's working well for you right now, and maybe a little bit of what's been frustrating.
Yeah, definitely. I would say a lot of our customer sort of acquisition retention has been working fairly well. We see customers are engaged with the website. Home buyers will give us positive feedback on it. And then also the way that we work with customers as well. One thing we try to do is when we're actually working actively with a client, we'll try to be as much of sort of a consultant, accountant, lawyer, something along those lines, rather than a salesperson. Part of what we noticed is that a lot of people would complain that agents they'd worked with before were really salesy. And that's kind of a problem that we had when we were purchasing homes as well previously. And so we try to just be there to help and support and not really try to push our customers to really buy any place in particular, but give them tools. For example, we have an AI disclosure analysis in our area. You get these giant packets called disclosures that tell you basically everything about the property that has ever been written or inspected or built about it. And no one can really read these through. They're like hundreds of pages long. And so we built a tool that just has an AI read the whole thing and tell you if anything's wrong with the property. So we'll do things like that and just kind of let buyers have the tools to make this process as self-serve as they want and kind of make the process less opaque. And we get pretty good customer feedback with that.
Nice.
Yeah, in terms of what could be better, I mean, everything could be better. I think one of the things we focus on a lot is helping customers understand really what their options are when working with someone to buy and sell home. Sort of like what types of value we or agents in general may or may not bring. I think in kind of the popular culture vernacular of buying homes, there's a lot of perceptions about agents that are built into how people think about the home buying process, and sort of helping customers that come in tease apart those expectations, make sure that we're supporting people while also like helping them understand what we're here for and what we're not here for, and what other agents should and should not be there for. That's a really tricky process because it kind of involves communicating and try to breaking these traditional assumptions that people have had for a long time. And then the even harder part is, of course, getting that message out to a broader audience that may not necessarily show up on our website and talk to us directly.
Nice. I love that. I love that you guys are building solutions for the problems. I think that disclosure booklet is universal, and we all know that nobody can read through that themselves. So that's That's a really, really great tool to be able to have for those customers to just break it down into the easiest form for them. Great. So outside of that, what metrics do you guys focus on improving and pushing forward?
We do, we have kind of, we look at weekly property reviews a lot, like sort of as a bar of engagement, how many people are looking at the properties on the website and for how long, as a measure of are we helping people find homes or not. And then of course we look at sort of more traditional consumer technology usage metrics like daily active users, weekly actives, dwell time, retention, that type of thing. And I'd say on the brokerage, we have a slightly separate set of metrics as well. We'll look at how many people are touring, how happy are they with tours, how many offers are going out, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's important. Definitely. The brokerage side. It sounds pretty simple. So when you look at these metrics and you look at where you guys are, what do you see or what would you like to be in a 6 month or 12 months from now?
We'd like to be in a place where people understand, I think, the potential of working with what we would consider ourselves as sort of a more remote friendly agent that helps you with what we believe are like all the tricky parts of the home process, but may not necessarily be driving with you from home to tour with you. And also like hopefully helping people understand what is available out there with more enhanced AI tools, whether that be more effective like video walkthroughs of the entire property so you can figure out how much you like it before you have to go show up on the doorstep, or like finding properties in areas that you wouldn't have found previously because you just didn't have the tools to search for properties that have spacious backyard with room for an ADU.
Yeah, I think I absolutely agree with that. I think you can definitely be positioned there. I haven't seen anything in the industry like what we've spoken about today. And that's exciting, right? I think that's exactly what the future would look like, being able to work with agents across the country virtually in a remote environment and still getting a top-notch experience in your home buying process. Tell me if you could solve one major challenge today, what would it be?
Yeah, it would probably be the additional cost of buying a home on top of the actual home price. So depending on where you're buying, houses are really expensive already. Obviously, most people will take a 10, 20, 30-year mortgage just to afford one, if they do at all. And on top of that, there are tons of fees today. In New Jersey, for example, you might average close to 9 to 10% of the house just on fees. That's including agent fees, lawyer fees, insurance, title insurance, escrow, et cetera, right? We don't feel like it has to be that way. So with modern technology, a lot of these things don't have to be the way they are anymore. Title insurance doesn't have to cost so much because we have digital records of title now that we didn't 40, 50 years ago. And even like working with an agent may not have to cost as much as it does today because the transactions are more digital and there are more tools like this disclosure analysis that can help you figure out what's going on with the house. Really what we want to solve is just try to bring down that incremental cost, because that really creeps up on people. And if you think of, if you're buying a $500,000 home and you're taking out a mortgage and paying 10% down, imagine having to come up with 10% more, $50,000 more just for your fees, right? That's crazy.
Those fees definitely do creep up on, especially first-time home buyers who haven't been through that process before. It can be daunting sometimes. So, and I agree that that's one of the things that technology can change and make more efficient and save money, because that's what technology does long term anyway, right?
Absolutely.
So, again, I think it's been a great conversation. Thank you for joining me. You talked about a lot of things today. I think it'll be the first time that some people are hearing things like this. So if they have any questions or want to reach out to you, where can they find you? Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, we're the website is usebramble.com. Bramble like the plant, the bush. And you can always reach me directly. My email is danny@usebramble.com. So, check us out. Let me know if you're in the market for a home or just thinking about whether to buy one.
Right. Sounds good. Thank you again for joining me, Danny. And we're signing off.
All right. Thanks, sir.